Hey friends, this is Rebecca. I am jumping on to film a quick little video to give an update on my recovery from my bilateral mastectomy, and to kind of give a little bit of an update on my reconstruction and the plastic surgeon's office and all of that. So if you're new to this, my name is Rebecca, and I have recently undergone a bilateral mastectomy because I guess it's like one of those things. I don't know if you say had or have or whatever, breast cancer. I had stage 3 HER2 positive invasive ductal carcinoma. I had surgery 3 weeks ago to remove both of my boobs, and luckily the pathology came back and said that there's no evidence of disease. I had a complete pathological response, which is very exciting. But if you have cancer or if you've gone through this before, you know that that's really, really exciting that it's gone, but that doesn't mean that your treatment plan is over. I still have a lot going on with that. And one of those things is the reconstruction and the healing from the mastectomy. So if you've been following my channel, you know that I had a really hard time deciding on breast surgeons and plastic surgeons and, you know, who I should use and all of that, what type of reconstruction I wanted. You have so many opinions and so many people giving you recommendations on what worked for them or what worked for their mom or their friend. And it's a little overwhelming. It was very overwhelming for me, I think, because it was such a process to even get the correct diagnosis. And that kind of impacted my thought process on who I liked and didn't like. If you go back and you watch some of my earlier videos of being diagnosed, you know, it wasn't, I didn't just get a diagnosis. It took several weeks and several scans, and I was told different things along the way until I actually got the correct diagnosis. So that was frustrating. That ties to this decision, because one of the things that I did not know before I was diagnosed with breast cancer is like how the process works of getting a complete diagnosis and what type of doctors you see and how that all looked. I just didn't know. So the standard of care or the normal procedure after you get a biopsy, or if you have a mammogram or an ultrasound that determines that you need to have a biopsy done without seeing some type of oncologist, cancer specialist, they refer you to a breast surgeon or a surgeon. Some of them are breast surgeons, some of them are general surgeons and do all kinds of surgeries. But that's who you go to. You don't go to your medical oncologist first, or at least that was that's the way that they handled my situation. And it seemed afterwards, talking to people or listening to other women online, that's pretty standard. I wish that they would explain that early before like right away. Like even if, you go get a mammogram and something is unusual, I wish like right then they'd kind of tell you, hey, listen, this is how it goes. They didn't really do that with me. And so when I had to have a breast surgeon, it kind of put her probably at an unfair advantage or disadvantage, I'm sorry, a disadvantage, because I was so confused and frazzled. Anyways, when you get a cancer diagnosis, I mean, it rocks your world. I don't care who you are, it does. And in my situation, at the time, my son was 10 months old. I have 2 daughters, a full-time job, my husband, everything just stopped. And it was scary. So, I say that because when I went to meet with my breast surgeon, who doesn't necessarily specialize in breasts at the time, I mean, that's who the first surgeon I met with, she kind of didn't necessarily take my diagnosis as serious as my family did. And I wasn't getting the right information, and I was having to question everything. And I didn't even understand why I was meeting with her at first. And so I'm kind of just giving that background a little bit because I just want to show that, like, the process is just overwhelming, and, you just don't really know who the right person is or the wrong person is. And sometimes that influences decisions you make. And I'm not saying that because I regret any decisions necessarily right now. But it's why I kind of shopped around for breast surgeons and plastic surgeons. So I will say that the breast surgeon I ended up going with is a very seasoned surgeon that had operated on several of my friends and was at a different hospital system. And, he got all of it out. So, and he was great. I didn't really have to interact with him very much because by the time that I met with him, I was already halfway through chemo and, I kind of figured some of everything out. And wasn't as emotional as I was when I first got diagnosed. So, and he was great. One of the other things that you don't realize is that, like, breast surgeons typically work with plastic surgeons. They're not in the same practice. They're not necessarily associated with each other, but they kind of work and operate together a lot. And so, and at least in my situation, they're from the same hospital system. That may not be the case everywhere, but that's how it was here. So the plastic surgeon, at this hospital system that I used came very highly recommended and operated, with my breast surgeon often, So that's kind of how how we chose who we were going to use. And so this is really more about the plastic surgeon than the general surgeons. I'm just kind of showing you, like, the pathway how I got to the plastic surgeon that I used. And she, when we met with her the first time, her nurse practitioner was very informative. And then she came in, she was, informative, very informative. We felt comfortable with her. She was pretty laid back, all of that. Her nurse practitioner is pretty laid back. So from a comfort standpoint, when I say we, I mean my family and I, kind of all go to all of my appointments together. So, I felt comfortable with her for as much as you can, because I'm going to be honest, I just second guess every decision that I make anymore. You never know if you're going to make right decisions or not, or if you're going to get the outcomes you want. And sometimes the outcomes are not necessarily anyone's fault. It's just what it is. And, so that's the struggle that I have right now, is I second guess, like, everything. And that's probably normal. I would think that that's normal. I don't know. But I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just weird. Okay. So I talked in my previous video about how, I guess I had had a few appointments with my plastic surgeon after surgery. I met with, and it wasn't with my plastic surgeon. It was with her team. So I think in my last video, which was a week ago, I had gone to the plastic surgeon 3 times, and I've now gone 4. So I went the first time after a week after surgery. And at that time, I have to stop saying, sorry. At that time, I had not looked at myself. I really haven't very much, even now, 3 weeks out. I feel like my body is foreign to me. The expanders they don't look the same on each side. The healing is not the same on each side. And even though I'm not really looking at myself in a mirror, I can kind of look down and tell that. So the first appointment, they did do a fill on both sides, not a very big one. And the nurse practitioner, who I very much like, had mentioned that my healing may not be that great. So they gave us these like strips to put on them, and all of this like bandage care to try to wear bandages to heal where the skin was growing, to make sure that it would heal properly. And at that time, she kind of mentioned that we're going to keep an eye on this. This is totally normal. But you're going to be coming in a lot, and you're going to be meeting with me. Well, my second appointment, I came in, and I met with the PA, not with my nurse practitioner, because there was something that had come up, family thing, totally fine. I get that. I will say the PA, my comfort level with her was not so great. Maybe it's personalities. I have a strong personality. I hate to say because she's young, because I don't think that always necessarily makes you less capable. She is there, but she came in by herself. She was not, it just was not the best appointment. At the time, I still had a couple of drains. I was only getting, she'd only let me get one out. I was over the drains. Drains are not fun at all, just so you know, they're not fun. And I was sleep deprived, because it's very hard to sleep with drains. And what I have found out since, it's just very hard to sleep after the surgery. And so that kind of affects your attitude a little bit. I'll take some personal responsibility on that one. But I'm not a fan. I think at that point, one of the things that was said in that appointment was that, it was a kind of abruptly stated that my healing didn't look so great. And that came after, so the nurse that came in to take my bandages off before the PA came in. I'm sorry, I kind of omitted that. When she took my dressings off, she had been in my first appointment, and she was like, "Oh, these look better." Well, in this second appointment, the PA was like, "Oh, this doesn't look any better. It looks worse. We're probably going to have surgery." And I was like, whoa. What do you mean, like, we're going to have surgery? Because in my head, I'm thinking, you just saw me for the first time. You don't know how it's healing. And she made a comment about what I said to her was, "Look, if I'm going to have surgery again, I really need the surgeon to come in and tell me that and look at it, because she's the one operating on me." And she kind of made a statement to the effect of, the surgeon isn't going to, you'll see the surgeon when you go in for surgery, which rubs me the wrong way. I mean, the way that she said it, I took it probably worse at that point, because it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, if you're going to operate on me, I need you to be involved in this, this conversation, this consultation. I don't need your assistance to do that. Not saying that they're not, qualified or that they don't have the training. I'm sure that they do, but this is, my body. This is a very emotional situation for me, personal situation, scary situation. So that appointment did not go the way that I wanted it to go, for many reasons. But I think a lot of it is that I had, I think she might have been too young and inexperienced and was very insensitive. And with my personality, that I just didn't, that was a hard day. I was very upset when I left that appointment. I came back that following Thursday, and it was just the nurse, and I was just getting my drain removed. And, she kind of looked at it. It was a fine appointment. She was very nice. So that brings us to this week. So this week I went in for an appointment on Monday. Today is Friday. And I will say this, after my drains were taken out last Thursday, I was able to take a shower. And, before then, it was about 2 weeks since I had taken a shower. And that does something to your psyche. Sometimes you just need a shower. So I had taken some showers. And I had been staying at my parents' house for a couple of weeks. I came home with my husband and my kids. And so that, that was a good thing for me mentally. And when I did that, and my husband is now helping change the dressing, so I can kind of read his face. And he had mentioned that there was a spot on my right side that did not look so great. And if you remember from my last video, originally the concerns from the nurse practitioner was on the other side, on my good side, non-cancer side, about the healing, and that my right side was healing fine. Well, he noticed a dark spot on my right side, and he couldn't, he made a comment. I don't know what this is. It's a little concerning. They'll tell us tomorrow when we go in. So we go into that appointment. My nurse practitioner was there, and she got very serious very fast. She looked at me and looked at, my dressings and my incisions, and immediately said, "Look, this happens. This is normal. It's why we bring you in so much, but it looks like you have some necrosis on your right side." I'm not sure. I can't tell yet. I don't know. I think that it is. And I think we're going to have to bring you in for, we're going to have to correct this. And then she was looking on the other side, and she's like, and I'm kind of have some areas of concerns right here. I can't tell if it's like healing good skin, or if we need to go in, or if we need to wait to go in on that side, because you don't, if the skin is healing, you don't want to mess it up by going in. And so she's kind of talking out loud. And the gist of the appointment was that she was pretty sure that I was going to need to have a procedure. Whether that procedure was in the office or in the OR, she didn't know. Whether I was going to have my expanders taken out and replaced, she didn't know. She was going to order new expanders just in case. And originally in the conversation, I was like, so this is on Monday. I'm like, well, when is this going to happen? Like next week? And she goes, oh no, probably this week. Okay, so about this week. This week, I don't know if you live in the Southeast, but we're in South Carolina, and we've had a big storm come through this week. And on Monday, we knew it was coming. They had already told us before we even went into the exam room that it had been chaotic at the office because people were canceling surgeries. And so I knew that at that time. And it's the first week of school for my children. And this weekend, we're supposed to be going to Charleston for a conference, and honestly, kind of like a getaway for my family because we haven't had a summer together. This is the first summer that we haven't gone to the beach, haven't had a vacation. My kids, I mean, they've done summer camps and all that kind of stuff, but we haven't done anything as a family. We haven't gotten away. You know, everything that we plan seems to get canceled. And I've had to miss so many things that I just, on Monday, I was like, nah, I have all of this stuff going on. And you know, to her credit, my nurse practitioner was like, I totally understand that. I get that. And we could see her working through it in her head. And my husband was able to give her some context about how, like, he saw the healing and all of that. And so they had those conversations, and she literally called the surgeon, like right there, took pictures, sent it to her, had a conversation with the surgeon. The surgeon was looking at looking at me while she was talking to her. And I mean, I think that the surgeon has agreed with her that I'm probably going to need another procedure. We just don't really know yet what that is. And that's just where we are. What she did agree to, what she said was, okay, well, that gives us more time to look at it and heal. So, but I need you in my office first thing Monday morning. So the plan now is to go in on Monday morning, and she's going to look at them and make a decision. What I can tell you on Friday, the Friday before that, as of right now, is I don't believe that things have really improved. I think I am going to prepare myself to go in on Monday and have to have something done. I think that will happen. I think that they're not healing right. Like I said, I haven't really looked at them, but I know my husband's face. I can feel that something's not necessarily right. I'm still really sore, and it's hard for me to get around. I don't know that that's necessarily indicative that they need to be replaced, but I just have this feeling, and I would rather be surprised than in a good way than in a bad way. So I am prepared that next Monday they will tell me that I need a new procedure. She assures me that it's not as invasive or as, tough as the mastectomy surgery because I've already done that part, and that this revision won't be terrible. I don't know if that's true or not. I will say it's really frustrating because I just want to get better. I want to be able to pick up my son who just keeps holding his hands out for me to pick him up. And that, that's tough. I just want to be able to live my life. I haven't driven yet. So this is just going to push all of that stuff back. Starting work, I can work remotely. I've been out of work, on FMLA, and I have, my boss is being great. I still have time for that, but, I just want my life to be back to normal. And I think I've been saying that this entire time, and it's the truth. It's frustrating. But one of the other aspects to this whole reconstruction side and having another surgery is my other treatment. And this is what I said to my nurse practitioner on Monday was, look, you're not the only appointments that I have. You aren't the only treatments that I have that are, important. I mean, I have radiation and I have my targeted therapy infusions. I met with my radiation oncologist. We had talked about the surgeries and, the time frame and all of that. And I have my I think it's on like September 9th, I have my radiation setup appointment. And then a couple of weeks after that, I'm supposed to be starting radiation. Well, I have to be healed. My skin has to be healed to have that radiation start, which I have to have. I also have to be able to go in and do my targeted therapy through my infusion on my port. So what does that look like? And that's on a strict 21-day schedule. I've already missed 2 targeted therapy appointments. They had to be canceled because I was so sick after my chemo, and so that's why my surgery had been pushed back, if you remember. And so when I did my last targeted therapy, they had to do a loading dose, like starting from the beginning again. And luckily, like, that wasn't so terrible, but I still have, on August 20th, I still have my next targeted therapy appointment. If I'm having surgery again, I need to make sure that I can make that. So, those were other things that have to be taken into account. And I'm supposed to be making appointments with the lymphedema clinic, but I haven't done that yet. Now I haven't done it because I don't know what it looks like for another surgery. So I might have to make those appointments after the surgery. Yeah. So it's a little frustrating and overwhelming, but that's just where we are. My nurse practitioner was very good about it. I will say this. I do not like the fact that I have not seen my surgeon. Apparently that's common practice. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting from meeting in her office with her team. I don't like that. Even though she was called and consulted in my last appointment, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that that is a good practice. Maybe removing my drains, or, maybe once or twice. But at this point, I've been told that I might need another procedure multiple times, and she hasn't actually physically been in the room, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan. And, I understand that expanders are not the implants, and there's other procedures that will have to be done to when I get my implants and to make everything look normal. But the right side, the left side expander is like wonky looking, very much so, and this one is not. And so even though I know they're telling me that can be fixed and everything, I think that's weird. And I do think that the surgeon should be there. So it'll be interesting to see how all that goes. And I don't know if other people have had that experience, but I do feel like she should be in there. And there is that part of me, that like nagging part in my head, like did I choose the right plastic surgeon? I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I guess we'll see. But I really do like the nurse practitioner and the nurse that I've seen every time. Those two make it where I'm not freaking out. But I do believe that I should have seen the surgeon. It's just my opinion. So, anyways, that is my update. It's a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but I just wanted to kind of jump on and let everybody know where everything stands, and just praying that everything goes well. And that's just kind of where we are. All right. Well, after I meet with my surgeon's office on Monday and we kind of develop a plan, I'll give an update and we will go from there. I hope everyone has stayed dry if you're in my area. If you are a mom and your kids have gone back to school, hope that has gone well. My kids were very excited to go back to school. It was pushed back a day, so they started today. And they were looking forward to it. And they were growing too fast, but that's okay. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I'll touch base next week. All right. Bye.